Elon Musk. I'm a fanboy. I'll admit it. I'm a fanboy. I'm not afraid to admit it. I know a lot of people are. He's doing a lot of good things for the world right now. He's changing a lot of things, and one thing that he's changing is something that I think is often overlooked by everyone, and that is Neuralink. Neuralink is special because it's the first time that a computer's actually touched our brains. And I don't think we understand the true effects of what that means for society in the long run. To start, I would like to say that I think these emerging technologies are going to really rub against society in ways that we've never seen before or understood. And anytime you look back in history when a really big change happened, it always looked strange to the people it was happening to. But afterwards, it was kind of just normal and widely accepted by everybody. For example, when Elvis was shaking his hips back in the 60s, it was the first time that any, artist was shaking their hips on stage. And at the time, it was really shunned. But the teenagers loved it. And now to us, shaking the hips seems really normal. And I think that Neuralink is going to be an extreme example of that, except there are going to be some pretty big social consequences that we're not even talking about yet. I think it's cool to talk about the fact that, we can have a computer in our brains and we can download Chinese or French language within seconds and be able to speak the language fluently. But I think there's going to be some social tearing, if you will, in that. Here's an example. Imagine you have a spouse, and version 1 of the of the Neuralink comes out, and nobody knows what the Neuralink's going to do yet. Like, is it going to cause brain tumors? Is it going to make you go crazy? Like, we don't really have the data yet, but there's going to be a wave of early innovators that want to try out the app, and they're going to try it out, and it's probably going to be fine. It's probably going to be a really minimal version 1, minimal viable product. But then version 2 comes out. Version 2 is a little bit better than version 1. I start adding all these new features. It seems cool. A lot more people around you start getting it. And then version 3 comes out. And, if you have a spouse or you're living with, family, there's going to be a point where at least one person in that family is going to want to be the first adopter of that product. And what's going to be happening is that product is going to be exponentially increasing in capability. So, you're going to be able to maybe download languages in the first couple of versions, and the next ones you're going to be able to, have the brain of Einstein, have a complete genius brain. And what is that going to mean for couples and families when one person in the family has a brain that can think at the speed of Einstein or even greater, and the other person doesn't? Naturally, the person who doesn't have it is either going to vehemently oppose the idea of getting one themselves because they're going to be super against it, or they're also going to take the dive and also get it. And what does it mean for society when every single year that goes by, this device just gets exponentially better and better and better, almost to a point where humans become closer to godlike than we ever thought was possible? What does that mean for families? What does that mean for couples? I think it's gonna tear society apart, and I think I have an opinion that it's gonna be generally good for society. There's gonna be a lot of bad and weird things that are gonna happen, but every single step of the way, there's always been these weird changes that happen to society, and we always seem to adapt to it every single time. Humans are amazing at adapting to new things. So why not this too? Why aren't we gonna adapt to this too? I think we will. And I just think it's going to be really, really strange when half of society is using this, Neuralink device, and they're going to have the brain of a god, while the other humans are they're going to look like apes in comparison. And when that happens, I think it's going to also be interesting that we're going to look back on this time and look back at all of our irrationalities, emotional irrationalities we had in the past, and all the divisiveness we had in the past, and all of these things that are going to seem so obvious that we shouldn't have been doing, dividing, society in half. I think we're going to look back at this time and just it's going to be very apparent we were making the wrong decisions, but we had to make some decisions. We're just basically doing with what we know best, and I think it's going to be really interesting. I don't think we truly know what the effects of this are going to be on society, and I'm actually really excited to find out. So if you have any ideas of what it's going to be, feel free to leave a comment below to let me know what you think is going to happen. I don't think any of us know at this point. I think we can only guess, but I think it's also fun to guess. I really highly believe that in the future, we're going to look back at this time in the future, we're going to realize how weird this is going to be for us all. I guess I'll leave it at that.